designed for the streets of Manhattan, which put in place the rectangular grid plan. Pretty convenient. The basic thing to remember is that avenues run north and south, while streets run east and west. Everything is so compact and congested that you don't notice how you cover large distances. Every new intersection brings something new and exciting. To better understand the city, let's take a quick look at its history. New York traces its origins to a trading post that was founded on the southern tip of Manhattan Island by Dutch colonists in 1624. They named it New Amsterdam. 40 years later, in 1664, it came under English control and was renamed New York, after King Charles II of England granted the lands to his brother, the Duke of York. Then comes Independence War and the signing of a peace treaty. British troops set sail for their homeland, and in 1785, New York became the capital of the United States for 5 years. The city's turning into a large industrial and financial center. Manhattan is being developed further up north, with giant bridges and the first skyscrapers. The New York Stock Exchange has overtaken the London one. Over the course of the 19th century, New York City's population grew from 60,000 to 3.4 million. In 1886, the main symbol of New York was erected on a small island near Manhattan, the Statue of Liberty. It was donated by France. Immigrants from all over Europe are flocking here: Italians, Irish, Jews, and Russians. New York became the largest city in the world by 1925. In 1952, it solidified its global geopolitical influence when the United Nations headquarters were completed. Let's take a look at the 5 boroughs, and let's start with Manhattan. Manhattan Island is divided into Lower Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan, and Uptown regions. Times Square is the main tourist destination in Midtown Manhattan, lit by its numerous billboards. It got its name in 1904, when the New York Times moved its headquarters to the then newly erected Times Building, now called One Times Square. A Times Square billboard today runs from $5,000 to $50,000 a day. This place is always super crowded day and night, but honestly, it's much more impressive at night. It's just fun sitting there and watching the people and all the ads running around. If you like large crowds and street performances, you're going to enjoy it. It lives up to its name, the city that never sleeps. Oh, by the way, see those ATVs? That's illegal. The NYPD continues to crack down on illegal dirt bikes and ATVs, having seized 565 of them in the last 3 months. But we'll talk about crime in New York later in this video. Now let's relocate to Central Park. It's the most famous city park in the world. It's a nice place to find some peace and serenity during the day. It is entirely man-made, and it has several artificial ponds, 2 ice rinks, and even a zoo. Yes, that same zoo from which animals escaped in the movie Madagascar. We are in the heart of New York City. We're in Central Park, guys, and this is the most visited urban park in the United States. 42 million visitors a year. On top of that, it's the most popular location for filming movies, and that's why I'm filming my video here. Central Park has everything: street musicians, sports grounds, horse-drawn carriages, and even such unique historic monuments which you don't expect to find here, like the obelisk, also known as Cleopatra's Needle, that was brought from Egypt, and it's roughly 3,500 years old. There's a wide variety of landscapes too, from meadows and woodlands to lawns, and there's always someone practicing yoga, meditating, or just reading books. We walked across the park from south to north and exited at the northern side, and this is where Harlem begins. An area with a rather dubious reputation. I know, people had been telling me it's fine, it's been gentrified, it's safe. In fact, the word gentrified is the most common word that I heard throughout my road trip in the US. There's no denying Harlem has improved, so you understand this is what it looked like in the 70s and the 80s. But even today, residents of East Harlem perceive crime as the biggest single concern. There are still many gangs in Harlem today. On a positive note, Harlem has been known for its jazz clubs, soul food, nightlife scene, and African American heritage. 125th Street is considered to be the main street of Harlem and is home to the Apollo Theater, a noted venue for African American performers, where Stevie Wonder, Billie Holiday, Diana Ross, and other big names started their careers. In West Harlem, you will find the magnificent Cathedral Church of St. John the Divine on Amsterdam Avenue, as well as colleges and universities, including Columbia University, one of the most prestigious ones in the U.S. Okay, back to Central Park. There is something for everyone here, whether you're just going for a casual walk, picnicking, or jogging. There's no denying New Yorkers love their park. due to. What's it like living in New York these days?
I think New York's a great place to live. It's, in some ways, sometimes maybe this sounds a little arrogant, but you feel like you're in the middle of the world, or the center of the world. Culturally, business, diversity, there's a lot to explore. Bad things about living in New York, it's kind of a hassle. It's very crowded, it's expensive, you deal with, it's dirty and things like that. But at the end of the day, I think it's worth it, and it's a nice place to live. And like many people, we moved to New York for our careers, to try to get ahead in life. That's why a lot of people come here. I work in finance, and she works in tech.
I work in tech.
Oh, cool. And so that's two of the big industries here. We live in a fairly small apartment, 1 bathroom, 5th floor walk-up. We pay about $2,500 a month. Okay. That, I think, is considered pretty inexpensive for New York.
And I imagine you don't have a car.
Don't have a car, but I
want a car.
I want a car, yeah. I like cars a lot, but it's really hard to justify the expense.
I appreciate it, guys.
Hey, anytime.
We're in Central Park, New York City, and are you a local?
I wasn't born here, but I lived a lot of years here working as a photographer, actually.
Name me 3 things you love about living in New York City.
Well, the whole world lives here, so that's number one. When you can't travel, you're in New York and you're meeting people from around the world, like the two of you. That's number one. Number 2 is it's part of the harbor. It's part of the ecosystem here. It's the estuary. You know, on good days you walk out or bike out to the Hudson River and you smell the ocean.
That's right.
And the third is, it's a cultural capital of the Western world. So.
The Big Apple's most famous street is the 5th Avenue. It crosses Manhattan from north to south, and it's one of the most expansive streets in the world.